The tale of Jason and the Argonauts is a story of bravery, friendship, and the relentless pursuit of a seemingly impossible goal. In this epic adventure, a young hero gathers a band of mighty warriors and sets sail across treacherous seas in search of the legendary Golden Fleece. What begins as a quest for glory quickly turns into a journey filled with danger, cunning, and the testing of hearts. Each step of their voyage will challenge their courage, loyalty, and wisdom. From mythical monsters lurking in dark waters to kingdoms ruled by unpredictable kings, Jason and his companions will face trials that test not just their strength, but their very character. The bonds forged on this journey will define their destinies and leave a mark upon history. But this story is not just about battles and challenges. It is about friendship and trust, the triumph of cleverness over brute force, and the pursuit of honor against all odds. Every island they visit, every storm they endure, and every foe they confront will reveal a deeper truth about courage and leadership. Prepare to follow Jason aboard the Argo, the finest ship ever built, as he navigates a world where gods interfere, heroes clash, and the dream of the Golden Fleece drives men beyond their limits. Each chapter of this tale uncovers new mysteries and extraordinary adventures that will captivate, thrill, and inspire. Hello, welcome to my channel. Before we start, it's a good idea to get into bed and relax. I would also like to ask you to subscribe to my channel, like it, and write in the comments where you are from and what time it is. Thank you. Have a nice viewing. In the ancient land of Colchis, a kingdom of golden plains and misty hills, the young prince Jason grew restless. The son of Aeson, the rightful king, he lived under the shadow of a usurper, Perilous, whose ambition and cunning had thrown the land into unease. Though Jason was brave and clever, he had spent years in exile, learning the ways of men and the arts of combat and strategy. Yet, nothing in his quiet studies or travels could prepare him for the destiny that awaited. One day, a mysterious figure arrived at Jason's humble dwelling. She was a woman of serene authority, with eyes that seemed to peer into the very depths of his soul. It was the goddess Hera, disguised as an aged mentor, who spoke of the peril that had befallen Colchis and the one hope for its salvation. Jason, she said, only by retrieving the Golden Fleece, the treasure guarded by fire and serpent, can the land be restored and your father's throne reclaimed. Jason felt a surge of courage and doubt intertwined. The Golden Fleece was no ordinary treasure. It was said to hold the power of kings and gods, a symbol of divine favor. Legends told of the ship Argo, built with skill beyond mortal comprehension, a vessel destined to carry heroes to the ends of the earth. Yet, how could a young prince, barely in his manhood, confront monsters, tyrants, and the whims of the gods? Despite his hesitation, Jason knew the call of destiny could not be ignored. He returned to Colchis, to the court of Perilous, whose eyes were sharp with suspicion and ambition. Jason approached with caution, feigning submission, yet within him burned a resolve that could not be contained. He spoke with measured words, challenging Perilous' claim, not with open rebellion but with cunning and hope. The usurper, ever proud and cruel, listened and laughed, his voice echoing across the marble halls. The Golden Fleece? He sneered. A fool's errand. Only death awaits any man who seeks it. Perilous, sensing a threat masked in youth and courage, devised a plot. If you are so bold, he said, let the fleece be your proof. Bring it to me, and I shall yield my throne. Though it was a trap designed to rid him of a rival, Jason accepted, for he understood that heroes are made not by safety, but by the trials they endure. With the decree made, Jason set out to assemble a crew worthy of the perilous journey. From every corner of Greece, warriors, scholars, and adventurers heeded his call. First came Hercules, the strongest mortal alive, whose feats were whispered with awe across the lands. Though mighty in strength, Hercules' heart was loyal, and he vowed to stand with Jason through storm and trial. Then joined Orpheus, the musician whose melodies could soothe even the most fearsome beasts, and Castor and Pollux, twin brothers skilled in combat, whose bond was unbreakable. The Argo itself awaited, a marvel of craftsmanship, its hull carved from enchanted timber, gifted by the gods. The ship's figurehead bore the face of a seer, its eyes seeming to watch the waters ahead, as if guiding the crew to destiny. Each oar, each sail, was a testament to human skill and divine inspiration. Boarding the Argo, Jason felt a surge of awe. This was no mere vessel. It was a companion, a symbol of the journey and of hope itself. Before departure, the crew swore an oath of loyalty and courage. Their voices, strong and clear, echoed across the harbor. They were not merely companions but brothers and sisters bound by purpose. The journey would test their courage, wits, and hearts, yet together they would face whatever dangers the world could conjure. Storms, sirens, giants, and sorcery awaited. Yet unity and resolve would be their shield. The wind rose, carrying the scent of salt and freedom, as Argo cut through the waves. The horizon stretched wide and mysterious, with islands that hid secrets, whirlpools that devoured ships, and mountains that pierced the clouds. As the ship sailed, Jason's mind wandered to his homeland, to the faces of those who had believed in him, and to the father he longed to save. Every wave seemed a challenge, every gust a test, yet every moment strengthened his resolve. Their first trial came swiftly. As the Argo approached a rocky coast, waves clashed against jagged cliffs, and from the depths rose a monstrous creature, a sea serpent with eyes like molten gold and scales that gleamed like polished steel. The crew trembled, but Jason, heart-pounding, remembered Hera's counsel. Courage alone would not suffice. Wisdom must guide strength. Orpheus raised his lyre, the strings vibrating with melodies that soothed the serpent's rage, while Hercules and the others held the ship steady. With each note, the monster's fury subsided, retreating into the depths, leaving only the echo of its hiss on the waves. Breathing heavily, Jason realized that this journey would demand more than brute force. Every obstacle would require thought, cooperation, and an unwavering belief in one another. The crew began to understand the truth of the quest. It was as much a test of character as it was a search for treasure. Friendships deepened, respect grew, and the bond of the Argonauts was forged not merely in battle, but in trust and shared purpose. Nights aboard the Argo were filled with wonder and reflection. Under a canopy of stars, Orpheus played, and tales of gods and heroes filled the air. Jason often gazed at the constellations, seeking guidance and courage, feeling the presence of divine forces in every shimmer of light. The sea whispered promises and warnings alike, yet Jason knew that turning back was not an option. Destiny was a path he could not abandon. As days turned to weeks, the crew encountered islands of wonder. One, shrouded in mist, housed a grove of trees that whispered secrets in the wind. Another was guarded by a tribe of warriors who tested the Argonauts' resolve and fairness. Through every encounter, Jason's leadership grew. He learned when to wield strength and when to show mercy, when to speak and when to listen. Each choice carried weight, each action rippled with consequences. And so, the Argo sailed onward, toward the unknown, toward a destiny that shimmered like the Golden Fleece itself. Each day brought new perils, new lessons, and new reasons to believe in the strength of unity, courage, and hope. Jason, once a young prince in exile, was becoming a hero worthy of legend, and the tale of the Argonauts was only beginning to unfold. The sea stretched endlessly ahead, vast and mysterious, but Jason and his companions knew that the greatest challenges were not merely monsters or storms. They were the fears within, the doubts that could unravel even the strongest resolve. Together, they would face the darkness, guided by friendship, wisdom, and the unyielding pursuit of their goal, the Golden Fleece, a treasure of legend, and the promise of a restored kingdom. The Argo sailed into the open sea, the wind carrying both promise and peril. Each day brought new wonders, but also unseen dangers. Jason watched the horizon carefully, aware that the gods often tested heroes in unexpected ways. His heart beat with a mixture of excitement and caution, for every wave could conceal either fortune or disaster. The crew worked in harmony, each movement precise, each task vital to their survival. Soon, a dense fog rolled in, thick as wool, swallowing the Argo in a ghostly gray. Visibility vanished, and the crew felt the tension tighten around their hearts. Strange noises echoed from the depths, unrecognizable and eerie, making the ship tremble. Jason steadied himself at the bow, calling out orders calmly. Hercules and the others followed, trusting his guidance. Every decision was crucial. One mistake could send them to watery doom. Through the fog, shadowy shapes appeared, enormous rocks, hidden beneath the waves, threatened to crush the ship. Jason realized these were the clashing rocks, a legendary hazard that had destroyed countless vessels. The Argo's enchanted hull groaned, testing both the timber's strength and the crew's courage. With Hercules pushing the oars and Jason directing the helmsman, they maneuvered carefully, timing each movement with precision, their fate hanging on every breath. At last, the Argo emerged from the treacherous straits, battered but unbroken. Relief washed over the crew, mingled with pride at having survived. Yet, Jason knew this was only the beginning. The gods' trials were far from over, and each success demanded vigilance. He gathered the Argonauts and spoke of their journey ahead, reminding them that courage, unity, and intelligence would guide them through the unknown challenges that awaited. Their next encounter came swiftly, as they approached an island shrouded in mist. Strange birds with feathers of gold and silver circled above, and the scent of sweet nectar filled the air. Jason sensed a trap. The island's beauty concealed danger. As the crew landed, they discovered vines that moved with unnatural intelligence, ensnaring anything that came too close. Hercules swung his mighty club, clearing a path, while Orpheus played his lyre, calming the restless spirits that seemed to animate the foliage. In the heart of the island, the Argonauts found a treasure trove of enchanted fruits and golden artifacts, but temptation was their greatest enemy. Each item seemed to call to them, promising power or knowledge. Jason reminded his companions of their mission, warning that distraction could lead to doom. Trusting his wisdom, the crew resisted, taking only what was necessary to continue. Their restraint impressed even the unseen forces of the island, which allowed them safe passage, vanishing into mist as if satisfied. Sailing onward, the sea grew wilder. Storm clouds gathered, lightning splitting the sky with blinding flashes. Waves towered like mountains, threatening to engulf the Argo. Jason shouted commands over the roar of the tempest, guiding the oarsmen with clarity and confidence. Hercules, Orpheus, and the others worked in perfect rhythm, their muscles straining against the furious sea. Together, they transformed fear into action, courage into survival, their unity a shield against the storm's wrath. After the tempest passed, the Argonauts spotted a strange island far to the east, its cliffs rising sharply from the water. Smoke spiraled from its volcanic peaks, and the smell of sulfur stung their nostrils. Jason sensed that this place held both danger and knowledge, a lesson that could strengthen or destroy them. Landing cautiously, they discovered a village of exiled sorcerers, masters of fire and illusion, who tested the travelers with riddles and illusions designed to reveal their hearts and intentions. The Argonauts faced the trials with care. Hercules relied on strength, Orpheus on intuition, and Jason on reason. One by one, they navigated the illusions, proving their loyalty, wisdom, and courage. The sorcerers, impressed, offered guidance and a gift, a map of hidden currents and dangerous reefs that would aid them in reaching Colchis, where the Golden Fleece awaited. Jason accepted humbly, knowing that each blessing was earned only through merit and teamwork, and that the fleece could not be claimed by force alone. As they departed, the crew reflected on their growth. Each trial had not only tested their bodies, but also their minds and hearts. The bonds of friendship had deepened, trust had been forged in fire and storm, and the Argonauts had begun to understand the meaning of heroism. Jason, once uncertain, now carried the weight of leadership with steadiness, knowing that the final journey toward the fleece would demand every ounce of courage, wisdom, and unity they possessed. With the Argo cutting through calm waters once more, Jason gazed toward the distant horizon. Islands and dangers lay ahead, but so did glory and legend. The Golden Fleece awaited, and with it, the chance to restore justice to Colchis. Every challenge so far had been a preparation, every victory a step closer to destiny. Together, the Argonauts sailed onward, ready to face whatever the gods and the world would throw at them, hearts bound by courage and hope. After weeks at sea, the Argo finally approached the distant shores of Colchis. The land rose like a jagged crown above the waves, shrouded in mist and mystery. Jason's heart pounded with anticipation, for the Golden Fleece lay beyond these cliffs. The crew prepared themselves, knowing that the final trials would test not only their courage but their resolve, wit, and unity. Landing cautiously on the black sands, the Argonauts beheld a city of golden spires and imposing walls. Colchis was unlike any place they had seen. Exotic flora, gilded statues, and the hum of unseen magic filled the air. Jason sensed the watchful eyes of powerful beings. Every step forward was heavy with tension, as though the land itself weighed their intentions, measuring whether they were worthy of the legendary prize. Their first challenge came swiftly. A fierce guardian, a bronze giant with glowing eyes, barred their path. Its footsteps shook the ground, its voice like rolling thunder. Hercules stepped forward, ready to clash, but Jason held him back. "Strength alone will not win this battle," he warned. Orpheus strummed his lyre, the melody weaving through the giant's mind, slowing its movements. Together, courage and music softened the guardian's fury. Beyond the guardian lay the orchard of fire-breathing bulls, creatures said to trample anyone daring to claim the fleece. Jason studied the beasts carefully, recalling the wisdom of the gods and the lessons learned on their voyage. Using cunning and timing, the Argonauts coordinated a plan. Hercules and the twins distracted the bulls, while Jason guided the ship past the danger, showing that intellect and teamwork could overcome even the fiercest threats. At last, they arrived at the sacred grove where the Golden Fleece hung, guarded by a serpent whose scales shone like molten gold. Its eyes burned with ancient intelligence, and its coils seemed endless. Jason knew that no weapon alone could win the prize. Remembering the teachings of the goddess Hera and the council of the Argonauts, he approached with caution, using patience, respect, and keen observation to outmaneuver the guardian. With Orpheus's music soothing the serpent and Hercules standing ready to protect, Jason grasped the fleece. The creature hissed, yet did not strike, as if recognizing the hero's courage and wisdom. The moment was tense, every heartbeat echoing with the weight of legend. When Jason lifted the Golden Fleece, light shimmered across the grove, confirming that destiny had chosen him as the rightful seeker of this treasure. Even with the fleece in their possession, danger remained. Medea, the sorceress and daughter of Colchis' king, approached them with intrigue and caution. She offered aid, her knowledge of magic in the land proving invaluable. Jason, aware of both her power and her ambition, accepted her guidance carefully. Together, they navigated secret paths, traps, and magical wards designed to prevent thieves from escaping with the treasure. The Argonauts' journey back would be no easier than their approach. Waves, storms, and rival forces threatened at every turn. Jason had learned that leadership was not only about courage, but also about trust and foresight. Each member of the crew played a vital role in ensuring their survival. Their unity, forged in countless trials, proved stronger than the magic and dangers surrounding them. As the Argo sailed from Colchis, the Golden Fleece safely aboard, Jason looked toward the horizon. The adventure was far from over. The journey home promised challenges that could rival any faced before. Yet, with courage, wisdom, and the bonds of friendship, the Argonauts felt invincible. Every trial had prepared them for this moment, every hardship had strengthened their resolve, and the legend of Jason and the Argonauts would live forever. With the Golden Fleece secured, the Argonauts prepared to depart Colchis. The winds were fickle, and every shadow seemed alive with danger. Jason's heart raced with anticipation and caution, knowing that King Aetes would not allow the treasure to leave his kingdom. The crew moved swiftly, their unity and discipline vital to escaping the watchful eyes of the king and his armies. As they boarded the Argo, Medea guided them through hidden paths along the cliffs, bypassing sentries and magical traps. Her knowledge of spells and illusions proved essential, for even the bravest warriors could be misled by the sorcery that cloaked Colchis. Jason relied on her counsel, balancing caution with resolve, understanding that their survival depended on both strategy and courage. Once at sea, the pursuit began. King Aetes dispatched swift ships, their sails cutting through the waves like blades. Jason ordered the oarsmen to row with every ounce of strength, while Hercules and the twins stood ready to defend against boarding enemies. Orpheus's music carried across the water, calming anxious hearts and reinforcing the crew's determination. The chase had begun, and the open sea became both refuge and battleground. Storms rose suddenly, as if the gods themselves tested their resolve. Waves towered above the Argo, lightning splitting the sky, and winds howled with relentless fury. Jason's voice rang clear over the roar, guiding each crew member with precision. The teamwork they had cultivated on their long voyage proved essential. Strength, wisdom, and trust became their shield against the furious elements. In the midst of the tempest, strange islands appeared, some shrouded in mist, others dotted with jagged rocks. Each threatened to capsize the Argo or trap them forever. Jason studied the currents, timing every maneuver to avoid disaster. Hercules used his might to steady the ship, while Orpheus's melodies soothed both the crew and the restless spirits that lingered on these haunted shores. Every moment demanded courage, patience, and careful calculation. One night, a monstrous whirlpool emerged, vast and merciless, pulling everything toward its dark center. Jason remained calm, calculating angles, calling out orders to shift the Argo sails and oars. The crew responded instantly, trusting his guidance. Hercules pushed against the ship's side with immense force, while Medea chanted protective spells. Slowly, inch by inch, they escaped the whirlpool's grip, hearts pounding, aware of how close death had loomed. Even as they survived the sea's fury, treachery lurked elsewhere. Betrayal and greed shadowed the path home. Jason had to rely on his judgment, discerning friend from foe. Medea's loyalty proved invaluable, her cunning and magical skill averting countless ambushes. Together, they navigated treacherous waters, where pirates and rival adventurers sought the fleece for their own gain, forcing the Argonauts to act with both force and guile. Amid the danger, the crew found moments of reflection. Under the stars, Jason shared stories and wisdom, reminding them that courage alone would not ensure survival. Strategy, trust, and unity were their greatest weapons. Orpheus played gentle melodies, bringing calm after storms, while Hercules and the warriors trained, preparing for any sudden attack. The journey home demanded vigilance at every turn. As days passed, the Argo approached familiar coasts, yet challenges were far from over. Natural hazards, treacherous currents, and divine interventions tested their skill and resolve. Jason's leadership grew stronger with each trial, tempered by experience, strengthened by trust, and sharpened by necessity. The crew learned that survival required not only bravery but constant adaptation and unity. Finally, after countless perils, the Argo sailed into safer waters. The Golden Fleece, a symbol of their perseverance and cunning, gleamed proudly at the heart of the ship. Jason's gaze turned toward Iolcus, imagining the reunion with his father and the restoration of the kingdom. Yet he knew the path to home still held surprises. The journey had changed them all, forging the Argonauts into legends whose courage, wisdom, and loyalty would be remembered for generations. The Argo sailed steadily toward Iolcus, its crew weary but triumphant. Waves still whispered warnings, yet the Golden Fleece remained safe aboard. Jason's thoughts were filled with the kingdom he had left behind, his father Aeson, and the usurper Peleus. Though victory was close, he knew the final trials awaited, for destiny often demands courage not only at the journey's start but at its end. Approaching the familiar shores, Jason felt a mixture of relief and apprehension. The city of Iolcus appeared in the morning light, its towers glinting like jewels. Yet the streets were tense, the air heavy with suspicion. Peleus had ruled in fear, and many doubted the return of the rightful heir. Jason prepared himself to face the usurper not with brute force alone, but with cunning, wisdom, and the support of his loyal companions. As they disembarked, the Argonauts formed a protective circle around Jason. Hercules, the twins, and the others stood ready, their presence a reminder of the strength earned through shared trials. Medea, skilled in both magic and strategy, offered guidance. Jason understood that leadership now required diplomacy as well as courage. Every step toward the palace was measured, every glance considered, for the eyes of allies and enemies alike watched carefully. Inside the grand halls of Iolcus, Peleus awaited, his expression masked in false calm. "So, the boy returns," he sneered, his voice echoing off the marble walls. Jason stepped forward, holding the Golden Fleece aloft. Its light shimmered, revealing not only the symbol of divine favor but the power of perseverance and unity. The court fell silent, the weight of prophecy and achievement pressing on all present. Peleus, unwilling to relinquish power, devised a final test. He demanded Jason prove his worth by performing impossible feats, hoping the prince would fail. But Jason, tempered by trials at sea and in Colchis, met each challenge with calm intelligence, relying on strategy, teamwork, and courage. Hercules, Medea, and the Argonauts aided discreetly, ensuring that every obstacle was met with both force and cleverness, turning Peleus' schemes against him. The people of Iolcus, inspired by Jason's courage and wisdom, began to rally. Witnessing the heroism of the Argonauts and the divine favor of the Golden Fleece, they turned against Peleus' tyranny. What was meant to be a final humiliation became a lesson in justice and leadership. Jason's triumph was not only personal but collective, earned through courage, unity, and integrity, proving that true power lies in character. Peleus' fall was swift. The usurper, stripped of authority and exposed to the judgment of the people, fled or was captured depending on the telling, leaving the throne open for Jason to restore order. Jason, however, ruled not with cruelty, but with wisdom learned from the sea, the trials, and the friends who had journeyed with him. Iolcus became a place of justice, courage, and hope, a kingdom shaped by experience and virtue. The Argonauts, having completed their quest, prepared to disperse. Hercules returned to his own adventures, Orpheus to his music, and the twins to their distant lands. Medea, who had grown close to Jason, remained his ally and guide. Yet the bond forged during the journey would endure, each remembering the trials, dangers, and triumphs that had tested and strengthened them. Their story would be sung for generations, inspiring courage and loyalty. Jason, now a hero of legend, looked upon the Golden Fleece and the kingdom he had saved. The journey had changed him, teaching lessons that no court or teacher could provide. Courage, wisdom, and unity had been his greatest tools. The trials had tested more than his strength, they had tested his heart. With the Argonauts' support, he had not only reclaimed a throne but earned a place among the greatest heroes of all time. And so, the tale of Jason and the Argonauts came to a close, a story of adventure, friendship, and the relentless pursuit of justice. The Golden Fleece gleamed as a symbol not merely of wealth or power, but of courage, loyalty, and the enduring spirit of those who dare to chase destiny. The legacy of the Argo and its crew would echo through history, a testament to the enduring power of heroism. Though Jason had reclaimed his throne, peace in Iolcus proved fragile. Whispers of rebellion and envy spread through the streets, as those loyal to Peleus plotted revenge. Jason knew that leadership required vigilance. The lessons learned at sea were now essential at home. For threats came not only from monsters and storms, but from human ambition and fear. Medea remained by Jason's side, her wisdom and knowledge of magic invaluable. She warned him that some enemies could not be defeated by force alone. Jason listened carefully, learning that diplomacy, cunning, and patience were as crucial as courage. The Argonauts' experiences had taught him that true power lay in both action and understanding, and in knowing when to act and when to observe. One night, an unexpected messenger arrived from a distant kingdom, bearing news of troubles along the trade routes. Pirates and bandits, emboldened by Peleus' downfall, threatened travelers and merchants. Jason realized that the safety of his kingdom depended on extending the lessons of the Argo: strength, strategy, and unity. He called upon loyal warriors to secure the roads, demonstrating that leadership required foresight as well as valor. Meanwhile, Hercules returned briefly to Iolcus, bringing tales of adventures and warnings from distant lands. His presence bolstered the morale of Jason's forces and reminded the people of the bonds formed during the quest for the Golden Fleece. Jason reflected on how much the journey had changed him, shaping him from a young prince into a hero capable of guiding a kingdom through peril and uncertainty. Amid the political unrest, Jason focused on rebuilding trust with the citizens of Iolcus. Festivals and games were held to honor those who had helped reclaim the kingdom. Orpheus played melodies that lifted the spirits of townsfolk and warriors alike, reinforcing loyalty and unity. Every celebration, every shared story, strengthened the bond between leader and people, ensuring that the kingdom's foundations were not only strong but enduring. Yet shadows from the past loomed. Some families loyal to Peleus sought revenge, and spies reported mysterious figures watching the palace. Jason understood that vigilance must be constant. The lessons of the sea, alertness, strategy, and cooperation, were now as relevant in the court as they had been on the waves. Each decision, Each action carried consequences that could shape the future of Iolcus. One morning, a message arrived from a neighboring kingdom, requesting Jason's counsel on matters of justice and diplomacy. His reputation as a hero and leader had spread far beyond Iolcus. Jason accepted the task with care, knowing that diplomacy would test him in ways that the sea never had. He realized that courage without wisdom could lead to ruin, and leadership demanded the delicate balance of both. As Jason navigated courtly challenges, he reflected on the Golden Fleece and the journey that had brought him here. The fleece, once the symbol of a distant quest, now served as a reminder of unity, perseverance, and the power of careful leadership. Its presence inspired the people and reminded Jason of the responsibility that came with greatness, a lesson as important as any battle or storm he had faced. With time, the kingdom grew stronger. Trade flourished, citizens felt secure, and the lessons of the Argonauts' voyage influenced every corner of Iolcus. Jason's decisions were guided not by pride, but by wisdom tempered by experience. The bond between him and his companions endured, a living legacy of courage, friendship, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Though Iolcus had regained peace, Jason knew the world beyond its borders remained unpredictable. Rumors of unrest spread across nearby kingdoms, and the threat of ambitious rulers testing his resolve never waned. Leadership demanded constant vigilance, for even heroes could be undermined by envy or cunning schemes. Jason prepared for challenges that required more than strength; they demanded wisdom. One morning, scouts reported strange ships appearing along the horizon, their sails dark and menacing. Jason gathered the Argonauts, calling upon Hercules and the twins to stand ready. The crew had faced monsters, storms, and magical threats, yet these vessels carried human cunning and ambition. Jason recognized that diplomacy, foresight, and strategy would be vital to prevent conflict before it began. Medea advised caution, suggesting the envoys aboard the approaching ships might conceal hidden motives. Jason, now seasoned in judgment, organized a welcoming party with subtle displays of strength. They communicated firmly but diplomatically, revealing confidence without aggression. The art of negotiation, like the trials of the sea, required precision, patience, and awareness of every ripple caused by action or word. As the envoys arrived, it became clear that the situation was delicate. They spoke of alliances and trade disputes, hinting at ambitions that could threaten Iolcus. Jason listened carefully, weighing every detail, aware that impulsive decisions could ignite war. Medea whispered counsel, and the Argonauts stood poised, prepared to act if deception was uncovered. Every step required the measured wisdom Jason had learned over years of peril. Unexpectedly, a messenger brought news of bandits threatening a nearby village. Jason decided to act immediately, leading a contingent of Argonauts to protect the people. Hercules and the twins cleared the roads with unmatched strength, while Orpheus's music calmed terrified villagers and inspired courage. Jason realized that heroism was as much about protecting the innocent as defeating enemies or reclaiming treasures. During the mission, they encountered a cunning bandit leader who sought to exploit chaos for personal gain. Jason employed strategy over brute force, coordinating diversions and traps to subdue the criminals. Medea's subtle magic aided in disarming hidden threats, while the crew worked in perfect coordination. The victory reinforced the lesson that leadership combined courage, intelligence, and the ability to inspire loyalty in others. After restoring safety to the village, Jason returned to Iolcus, the people welcoming him with gratitude and admiration. The trials had tested not only his strength but his judgment and resolve. He reflected on the journey of the Argo, recognizing that every challenge, from monstrous seas to political intrigue, had prepared him to rule wisely. True heroism required both action and understanding. In the days that followed, Jason focused on fortifying alliances with neighboring kingdoms. He offered guidance, shared knowledge, and ensured that diplomacy was guided by justice. The reputation of the Argonauts and the legacy of the Golden Fleece became symbols of leadership built on courage, loyalty, and wisdom. Jason's choices now shaped the lives of countless people, far beyond the walls of Iolcus. Yet Jason remained ever vigilant. He knew the world was unpredictable, and threats could emerge from unexpected corners. The lessons learned aboard the Argo, in Colchis, and on the open seas became his guiding principles. Courage, unity, and careful judgment would continue to protect Iolcus and honor the journey of the Argonauts, ensuring that their story would endure through generations. Peace in Iolcus was fragile, and whispers of dark magic spread through the city. Strange omens appeared. Crops failed unexpectedly, animals fled, and a cold mist settled over the outskirts. Jason recognized the signs of sorcery at work. The trials of the sea had prepared him for danger, but the subtleties of magical intrigue demanded careful observation and sharp wits. Medea sensed the presence of unseen forces, their influence reaching even into the palace. She warned Jason that some enemies could manipulate events without showing themselves. Trusting her insight, Jason instructed the Argonauts to patrol borders, investigate anomalies, and remain alert. Strength alone would not protect the kingdom. Wisdom and vigilance were equally essential. Soon, an emissary arrived from a distant land, seeking an alliance. Yet Jason suspected deception. He welcomed the envoy with courtesy but tested their intentions carefully, observing subtle gestures, listening for inconsistencies, and probing with questions. Every word mattered, and the Argonauts stood ready to intervene if treachery surfaced. Diplomacy was now a battlefield, and Jason was learning to fight without swords. At night, strange lights danced across the hills surrounding Iolcus. Rumors of witches and sorcerers spread among the citizens, causing fear. Jason remained calm, organizing a reconnaissance mission. Hercules and the twins led scouts through the forests. Medea read the signs of magical influence, and Orpheus played melodies that would protect and guide the team. Courage and caution blended seamlessly in their approach. The investigation revealed a hidden coven attempting to destabilize the kingdom with enchantments and illusions. Jason realized that raw strength alone would be insufficient. He coordinated a plan that combined strategy, magical countermeasures, and the loyalty of his people. Each step required precision, for a single miscalculation could unleash chaos or empower the sorcerers further. In the confrontation, Medea's spells neutralized the most dangerous charms while Jason and the Argonauts confronted the coven directly. Hercules' might and the twins' skills secured the perimeter, and Orpheus's music bolstered morale, soothing those affected by fear or enchantment. The battle was as much of mind and spirit as of body, testing every lesson Jason had learned from the Argo's voyage. After the sorcerers were subdued, Jason addressed the citizens of Iolcus, emphasizing unity, courage, and vigilance. He reminded them that threats could appear in many forms, and that together they could protect their home. The Golden Fleece had been a symbol of their journey, but now the true treasure was the harmony, courage, and wisdom that sustained the kingdom. With the immediate danger neutralized, Jason turned his attention to strengthening the kingdom's defenses, both magical and political. Medea trained select warriors in counter-magic techniques, while Jason fostered alliances with neighboring rulers who respected justice and wisdom. The lessons of the Argonauts' journey shaped every decision, ensuring that Iolcus could withstand future threats. Though challenges persisted, Jason grew more confident in his ability to lead. The combination of courage, unity, and insight had preserved his kingdom and safeguarded the people. Every trial, from the seas to the coven's magic, had refined him into a leader capable of guiding not only warriors but a realm. The story of Jason and the Argonauts continued to inspire all who witnessed their deeds. Though Iolcus had endured magic and political threats, Jason knew his leadership would be tested once more. Rumors reached the palace of a distant warlord, jealous of Jason's success in the Golden Fleece. The man sought to challenge Jason's rule, believing that the hero's trials had left him vulnerable. Jason prepared carefully, aware that the greatest threats often came from cunning minds rather than brute force. Medea advised caution, revealing that the warlord employed both sorcery and spies. Jason coordinated defenses and trained the Argonauts for rapid response, while simultaneously sending envoys to nearby kingdoms. Diplomacy and strategy were as vital as swords and strength. The kingdom had learned that wisdom could counter even the most formidable foes, a lesson forged through countless adventures. The warlord's forces advanced swiftly, but Jason met them with a mixture of planning and surprise. The Argonauts, now seasoned veterans, executed maneuvers that combined their individual skills. Hercules led the front, the twins protected flanks, and Orpheus inspired the soldiers with morale-boosting music. Medea's spells shielded the city, turning potential chaos into an organized defense. Battles raged across the outskirts of Iolcus, testing both courage and unity. Jason coordinated efforts, responding to changing threats with speed and insight. Every victory was earned through clever tactics and mutual trust. The warlord's magic was powerful, but he had underestimated the loyalty and cohesion of the Argonauts and the people of Iolcus, who now fought not only for a king but for their homes. In a decisive moment, Jason confronted the warlord directly. Words and intellect were as crucial as swords, for the enemy sought to provoke rash decisions. Jason negotiated, revealing knowledge of the warlord's weaknesses and appealing to reason and honor. The confrontation was tense, each choice weighed carefully, yet Jason's experience and wisdom gave him the upper hand, demonstrating that leadership demanded more than courage. It demanded judgment. The warlord, impressed and restrained by Jason's cunning, agreed to retreat, securing peace without further bloodshed. The kingdom celebrated the victory, not only for survival but for proving that wisdom, unity, and courage could overcome threats that mere strength alone could not. Jason's leadership had matured fully, shaped by trials both at sea and within the palace walls. Medea and the Argonauts were honored, their contributions recognized by all. Jason's decisions had preserved lives, strengthened alliances, and ensured the stability of Iolcus. Every adventure, from the Argo to Colchis and back, had prepared them for this final test. The legend of the Argonauts became inseparable from the story of their leadership, bravery, and loyalty. In the quiet that followed, Jason reflected on the journey. The Golden Fleece, once the object of distant desire, now symbolized more than adventure or glory. It was a testament to perseverance, wisdom, and the bonds forged through trials. The experiences of the voyage and the return had transformed not only him but the entire kingdom, leaving lessons that would endure for generations. Thus, Iolcus thrived under Jason's rule. The people learned that courage guided by wisdom and unity could overcome any threat. The Argonauts' story, from the voyage to Colchis to the trials at home, became legend, inspiring all who heard it. Jason's legacy was now secure, a hero not only of adventure but of justice, leadership, and the enduring power of friendship. With Iolcus finally secure, Jason turned to the responsibilities of peace. The Golden Fleece rested in a place of honor, a symbol not of conquest but of perseverance, wisdom, and unity. The kingdom flourished under his guidance, trade expanded, and the people prospered. Jason understood that leadership required patience, foresight, and the ability to inspire those around him. The Argonauts, having shared in countless perils, began to depart for their own paths. Hercules returned to distant adventures, the twins to their homelands, and Orpheus to his music. Medea remained a trusted advisor and ally. Her bond with Jason strengthened through trials and shared victories. Though separated by distance, their loyalty and friendship endured beyond the horizon. Jason reflected on the journey that had shaped him. From exile to hero, from the dangers of the Argo to the challenges at home, he had grown wiser, stronger, and more compassionate. Every trial had taught him lessons about courage, strategy, and trust. The Golden Fleece was not merely treasure. It was a reminder of the journey, the bonds formed, and the strength found in unity. The people of Iolcus celebrated Jason's achievements, recounting tales of the Argo and its legendary crew. Songs and stories spread across Greece, inspiring generations of heroes. The voyages, battles, and cleverness displayed by Jason and his companions became timeless lessons, teaching that bravery guided by wisdom can shape destinies and overcome seemingly impossible odds. Even in quiet moments, Jason remained vigilant, knowing that leadership is never idle. But he also understood the importance of reflection, of passing wisdom to the next generation. He trained young warriors, advised leaders, and shared stories of the sea, instilling courage, fairness, and hope. The legacy of the Argonauts lived on through both deeds and teachings. Medea's counsel ensured that magic and knowledge were used for protection and good, helping Iolcus remain prosperous. Together, they created institutions, strengthened alliances, and guided the kingdom toward stability. Jason's leadership demonstrated that a true hero blends courage with compassion, strength with wisdom, and ambition with responsibility. Years passed, and the Golden Fleece remained a beacon of hope and inspiration. The Argonauts' adventures became legend, their courage and loyalty immortalized in song and story. Jason's journey had begun with a quest for treasure, but it ended with the building of a kingdom and the creation of a lasting legacy, one that inspired countless generations to come. In the final reflection, Jason stood before the fleece, surrounded by loyal companions and grateful citizens. He understood that true greatness was measured not by glory or wealth, but by the courage to face challenges, the wisdom to lead wisely, and the strength to unite others in pursuit of a noble goal. The story of Jason and the Argonauts had become timeless. Thus concludes the tale of Jason and his companions, a story of adventure, courage, friendship, and wisdom. From the open seas to the heart of Iolcus, they faced monsters, magic, and treachery, yet emerged stronger, wiser, and united. Their legend endures, a testament to the enduring power of heroism, leadership, and the bonds forged through shared trials. Years passed, and Jason grew into a wise and respected king. Iolcus prospered under his rule, guided by the lessons of courage, wisdom, and unity learned on the voyage of the Argo. Citizens honored the hero not for the Golden Fleece alone, but for the fairness, strength, and compassion he brought to his leadership, ensuring peace and prosperity. The Argo itself became a symbol, preserved and revered as a reminder of the adventures and trials shared by Jason and his companions. Tales of the voyage, the battles, and the cunning needed to claim the Golden Fleece spread far and wide. Children grew up hearing these stories, dreaming of heroism, and learning that courage and loyalty could overcome even the greatest challenges. Jason often reflected on the bonds forged during the journey. Hercules, Orpheus, the twins, and Medea had become more than allies. They were family, united by shared danger and triumph. Though many had departed, their wisdom and courage continued to guide him. The lessons of friendship, trust, and teamwork became the foundation of his kingdom and his personal legacy. Under Jason's rule, Iolcus became a beacon of justice and knowledge. Schools, training grounds, and councils were established to teach future leaders the principles of strategy, diplomacy, and heroism. Jason understood that the true treasure was not the Golden Fleece, but the strength and unity of his people, who had learned to rise to challenges with courage and wisdom. Medea remained a trusted advisor, her magic and insight ensuring the kingdom's safety against subtle threats. Together, she and Jason mentored new generations of leaders, instilling in them the values forged during the Argo's legendary voyage. The story of the Golden Fleece was retold not merely as an adventure, but as a lesson in morality, courage, and intelligent leadership. In his later years, Jason walked the shores of Iolcus, remembering the storms, monsters, and trials that had shaped him. The Golden Fleece hung in a place of honor, gleaming as a symbol of perseverance. Every wave, every challenge faced during the voyage had contributed to the man he had become, a hero, a leader, and a guardian of justice, whose story would echo through time. Visitors from distant lands came to see the legendary hero, to learn from him, and to witness the prosperity of Iolcus. Jason shared tales of the Argo, explaining that true heroism required courage, loyalty, wisdom, and unity. He reminded all who listened that a single journey could change the course of life, and that challenges, when faced with integrity, shape destiny. As the sun set over Iolcus, Jason felt the fulfillment of a life rich in adventure, growth, and achievement. The Golden Fleece was no longer a mere treasure. It was a symbol of triumph over adversity, of the unity of companions, and of the courage to pursue a just cause. His legend was secured not only by deeds but by the lives he touched and the wisdom he imparted. The story of Jason and the Argonauts became eternal, a tale passed down through generations. It taught that adventure and leadership are inseparable, that courage without wisdom is incomplete, and that loyalty and friendship can overcome even the greatest perils. Jason's legacy endured, inspiring heroes, rulers, and dreamers for centuries to come. And so, the tale concludes. Jason, the Argo, and the Golden Fleece remain immortal in the hearts and minds of those who hear the story. The journey that began with a quest for treasure became a saga of courage, unity, wisdom, and heroism, a timeless testament to what it means to be a true hero.